In order to avoid harassment from perverted inmates, this teenager, who was entering prison for the first time, shaved off the long hair he had been growing for a year. John sat in the corner of the prison recreation room. At that moment, his cellmate was being treated like a toy for the amusement of 3 perverts. To keep from becoming the next victim, John placed his hopes on the black gang leader Lynch. Seeing that Lynch was playing chess, and since he shared the same hobby, John gathered the courage to walk over.
He's got your checkmate in 3 moves.
Not only did Lynch show no hostility toward this naive kid, he even told John to play a game of chess for him to watch. But when John tried to pull up a chair and sit beside him, Lynch's attitude immediately changed.
I didn't tell you to sit down. I said, show me the move.
Sitting next to him would make others think the two of them were close. Lynch had no intention of letting John achieve his goal so easily. And just as he said, in only 3 moves, John managed to put Lynch in check. But chess was just chess. Lynch gave the boy no chance to get close to him.
Shut it.
Because after enduring constant bullying from the perverted inmates, John's cellmate had started sharpening a toothbrush, planning to fight back like a trapped animal. But in John's eyes, with his cellmate's frail body, even fighting back would be useless.
You got any better suggestions?
The next day, the cellmate hid the sharpened toothbrush behind his back, and the 3 perverts approached him just as they usually did. Sensing something was wrong, John immediately rushed over to his cellmate's side. He deliberately picked a fight and provoked the cellmate into attacking him. Their conflict attracted the guards, and when the guards appeared, the perverts immediately backed off. Using his quick thinking, John temporarily protected his cellmate. Lynch, who had been sitting nearby, also began to see this young man in a new light. Because of the disturbance, John was placed in solitary confinement for a few days. When he came out of the isolation cell, Lynch personally came to meet him. He told John it was best not to meddle in other people's business. Those little tricks of his would never be enough to protect someone forever. Watching his cellmate continue to be toyed with, John finally faced reality. That night, after being bullied again, the cellmate chose to take his own life. The toothbrush that was meant for fighting back ended up being used on himself. After the cellmate's death, the perverts turned their attention to John.
See you around.
After being threatened by them, John began sharpening a toothbrush again using the same trick as before. Once he stepped outside, the 3 perverts were already watching him. John placed his hopes on Lynch and deliberately walked toward Lynch's cell. At the critical moment, Lynch stepped out of his cell and casually pulled John inside.
Got a problem, have we? Fuck off!
At that moment, Lynch was introducing John to a chess opening called the Son of Sorrow. Once this opening begins, there is no such thing as a draw. It's either life or death. And just like dealing with those perverts, there is no middle ground. Either kill them once and for all, or keep enduring the bullying until the day you're released.
No, son, I can sort this for you. But then I'm going to need your help on the outside.
If Lynch helped John solve his problem, then John would have to help him escape from prison. Lynch knew this was not an easy decision, so he gave John time to go back and think it over carefully. But the perverts weren't going to give him time. They directly grabbed John, and at that moment, Lynch showed up with his men. Lynch took John away, while the remaining 2 men completely dealt with the perverts. The sudden turn of events left John somewhat flustered, but at this point there was no turning back. 6 months later, John was successfully released from prison. Following the address Lynch had given him, he went to find a local businessman named Sam. Sam and Lynch were partners who had done many illegal deals together in the past. He asked his nephew George to hand a suitcase to John, but George clearly didn't like him. John was arranged to stay at a hotel, and inside the suitcase were new passports and clothes for Lynch and the others, along with a handgun. Just as John was examining the gun, a girl named Tasha appeared. She said she worked for Sam and handed John some cash along with a phone that would receive instructions. The next day, following the instructions on the phone, John arrived at the house of a weapons dealer. If he wanted to help Lynch escape, weapons were essential, and for someone inexperienced like John, the weapons dealer had to personally train him for a while. After several days of training, the prison break operation was about to begin. John first arrived at a scenic tourist area and boarded a sightseeing helicopter. Once the helicopter was far enough from the center of the scenic area, John pulled out a weapon and hijacked the pilot. Meanwhile, Lynch and his men had already made their preparations. They deliberately created a conflict and took a guard hostage. After ordering the guard to open the iron gate of the exercise yard, John arrived right on time. Under covering fire, the group quickly secured their weapons. They didn't harm the guards. They simply fired toward the open ground to keep them from approaching. Under the cover, the three men successfully boarded the helicopter, which then landed at a location that had been arranged in advance. Just like that, they changed clothes, got into a car, and escaped smoothly. After several transfers, they finally stopped outside a fast food restaurant. At that moment, the radio was broadcasting information about the fugitives.
Notorious armed robbers Brendan Lynch and Craig Sterling and convicted rapist Mervyn Ryder.
And crimes like rape were something Lynch despised the most. After Merv returned with the fast food, Lynch grabbed a weapon and stepped out of the car. After brutally teaching Merv a lesson, Lynch abandoned him. Afterward, the three of them arrived at businessman Sam's mansion. Since they had just gotten out and had no money, Sam introduced Lynch to a big job. He had discovered that there was a large amount of gold inside a mining site. As long as they could steal 6 gold bars, they could earn 4.5 million. Faced with such an attractive number, Lynch naturally agreed. That night, a party was being held at the mansion, and John seemed to be attracted to the girl named Tasha. But before the two of them could chat for long, Sam's nephew George appeared and caused trouble. George pushed John into the swimming pool, and because he couldn't swim, John kept choking on water until Tasha jumped in and pulled him out. Humiliated, John walked alone toward the hotel, but Tasha soon appeared driving a luxury car. Tasha took John to a Chinese restaurant where John indirectly asked about her relationship with Sam.
I'm not sleeping with him if that's what you're asking.
In truth, Tasha was nothing more than a caged bird for Sam, living a life free from financial worries but never able to escape his control. Because of John's contact with Tasha, Lynch became extremely dissatisfied with him. Right now, their main task was to rob the gold, and unnecessary complications would only make the plan more dangerous. To ensure they could escape smoothly after getting the gold, Lynch even invited an old partner of his to join the operation, and everyone gathered together to plan the details. After confirming the escape route, Lynch arranged for George and the race car driver to wait outside for support, while he and John would go inside to carry the gold.
I'm supposed to be on the goal.
You'll be front of house.
If you don't mind, I want Josh on the goal.
It seemed that Sam and Lynch didn't trust each other either. Facing Sam's insistence, Lynch had no choice but to compromise. Feeling pleased with himself, George began mocking John.
What'd you say?
Just don't cry.
Come here.
Go get some drinks. Go and get some fucking drinks. Go.
After the conflict, John had no choice but to leave first. The next day, everyone prepared their weapons, and the operation was about to begin. But John did not arrive at the meeting point on time.
All you had to be was on time.
I know, I'm sorry I'm late.
There's no margin for error.
What Lynch didn't know was that John had spent the entire night with Tasha, and their relationship had grown even closer. John promised Tasha that if the operation went smoothly and he got his share of the money, he would take her far away and start a new life. In the early hours of the morning, the group disguised themselves as maintenance workers and infiltrated the mining site. After opening a ventilation shaft, Lynch had John crawl inside alone. As long as he stayed hidden until dawn, once the workers arrived, he could drop down from the vent and begin the operation. At daybreak, the mine workers had already started their shift. After Lynch and the others took control of the surveillance room, they gave John the signal. Just like that, everyone successfully entered the target area. George was responsible for guarding the workers, while the rest waited for the gold bars to cool. Because of his lack of experience, the useless George accidentally fired his gun.
You fucking idiot!
At that moment, the police had already arrived and surrounded the area. Fortunately, Lynch reacted quickly and ordered everyone to retreat according to plan. After loading the gold bars, they disguised themselves as mine workers and walked out together. Since the police couldn't tell who the robbers were, they didn't dare open fire, but Lynch seized the opportunity and started shooting first. Immediately afterward, the race car driver arrived, and under covering fire, everyone successfully got into the car. But during the chase, one of the men sitting in the back seat was unfortunately shot. This companion had always taken good care of John, so the situation left John heartbroken. Before dying, the man asked Lynch to give his share of the money to his daughter. As soon as he finished speaking, he stopped breathing and collapsed in John's arms. John looked out and saw a group of boys about his age riding bicycles and playing on a field, while he himself was now fleeing for his life. After escaping the pursuit, they drove the car into a truck that had been prepared in advance, and then drove the truck to meet Sam. As soon as they got out of the vehicle, George immediately complained to his uncle.
Me off the goal and broke my fucking nose!
What the fuck happened?
You're all over the news.
Your nephew happened.
Seeing that one of Lynch's men had died, Sam said nothing more. When he learned that Lynch had obtained 6 gold bars, Sam was delighted. However, the gold bars had to be taken to Melbourne and sold through a contact there before they could be exchanged for money, and Sam would handle the arrangements. Afterward, the 2 men pushed their companion's body in the car into a lake, giving him a final farewell. Meanwhile, Tasha, who was planning to run away with John, was packing her luggage. At that moment, one of Sam's men suddenly showed up. He was actually an assassin sent by Sam. In order to keep the gold bars for himself, Sam planned to eliminate Lynch and John as well. After learning the truth, Tasha fought back desperately. After knocking the man unconscious, she quickly sent John a message.
Tasha, run, Sam set you up.
Just as Tasha had said, Lynch's hotel was now surrounded by police. It seemed Sam had already betrayed him, and seeing this, Lynch immediately called Sam.
I don't know who I'm talking to.
Yeah, you're damn right about that.
Keep an eye on the street.
This city was no longer safe for either of them. Lynch took John to his brother's grave, where he dug up some cash he had hidden there earlier. Since Sam planned to sell the gold bars in Melbourne, the 2 of them now had to head to Melbourne as well. After receiving the news, Tasha also boarded a train bound for Melbourne. After arriving at their destination, the 3 of them stayed in a motel. At that moment, the television was broadcasting information about the 2 fugitives. Lynch told Tasha to buy some food and also send some money to his dead companion's daughter, but Tasha refused to take orders from him.
You do as you're told.
Seeing the woman he loved being hit, John lost his temper and started fighting with Lynch. After buying the food, Tasha was followed by an assassin. At that moment, Lynch handed John a bundle of cash and told him to use the money to send Tasha away. Lynch believed Tasha was nothing but a burden who would eventually get them both killed, but Tasha had already overheard their conversation. When she saw John pick up the cash, she turned away in disappointment and left. Seeing this, John immediately chased after her. In Tasha's eyes, Lynch was only using John. She believed that in the end, Lynch would take all the gold bars for himself and then get rid of both her and John. Meanwhile, the assassin had already entered the room and taken control of Lynch. Although the assassin had been sent by Sam, he knew nothing about the gold bars. Lynch seized the opportunity and promised that if they worked together, once the gold was secured, he would give the assassin $100,000 in cash. Tempted by the money, the assassin agreed. With the assassin's help, they ambushed the location where the gold bars were to be traded, and the one responsible for the deal was George. Just as the transaction was about to be completed, the assassin suddenly appeared. After successfully taking care of several people, they captured George and took him away alone. For safety reasons, George had hidden the gold bars. In order to force the truth out of him, they locked George inside a refrigerator, and when he came out, he no longer dared to lie. Inside a parking garage, the 2 men successfully retrieved the gold bars. At that moment, Lynch decided to go back and settle things with Sam. Facing Sam's betrayal, Lynch said nothing more. After dealing with Sam, the 2 men returned to Melbourne once again. Lynch hid the gold bars under the bed, always watching John carefully no matter what. Even when taking a shower, he demanded that John remain within his sight to prevent him from being alone with the gold. After buying a boat, the 2 of them prepared to meet the buyer and sell the gold bars. But at that moment, Lynch suddenly pointed his gun at John.
You fucking used me.
I'm offering you $350,000 fucking dollars.
You don't have that kind of money anymore.
No matter how carefully Lynch had calculated everything, he never expected to be tricked by this young man. When Lynch opened the case filled with gold bars, he discovered that they had all been replaced with iron blocks. At that moment, John handed Lynch a phone. On the other end of the line was Tasha.
Son of sorrow.
What?
No half measures, right?
It turned out that John and Tasha had never stopped communicating. John stayed in the open while Tasha worked in secret. While they were at the motel, John had already sent Tasha the location of the gold bars. And when the 2 men went out to buy the boat, Tasha took the opportunity to sneak in and replace the gold with iron.
Checkmate.
Enraged after being tricked, Lynch pushed John into the sea, but then remembered that John couldn't swim and immediately pulled him back out. Fortunately, John had only swallowed a few mouthfuls of water and was unharmed.
Didn't it occur to you that she could just run off with all the fucking gold?
You know what? It didn't.
I'm a fucking idiot.
John told Lynch to keep the phone, saying he would later tell him the location of the other half of the gold. Afterward, John and Tasha were finally reunited. Sometime later, Lynch was doing laundry in a public laundromat. A woman left behind a magazine that contained Lynch's wanted notice. The outside suddenly became eerily quiet, and Lynch realized he had been surrounded. Time passed quickly, and one day Lynch, now back in prison, received a letter. John had already converted Lynch's half of the gold into cash and buried it in a grave.
Next time you're in Darwin, make sure you pay your respects to Albert's cousin Thomas.
Inside the letter was also a photo of Tasha pregnant. Seeing this, Lynch smiled, for at that moment, he felt proud of John, who was like a son to him.